Hey, welcome back to the channel. The morning of April 29, 2025 dawned with a grim face. A low, bruised sky pressed down on Kachemak Bay. The air felt thick, heavy, an unnatural stillness preceded the violence. Locals, people attuned to the moods of the Alaskan wilderness, felt it. A prickling unease, the kind that crawls under your skin. They knew this weather. It was a harbinger. A warning whispered on the frigid wind. Few could have predicted the true extent of the sorrow it would bring. The forecast had been stark. A late spring storm, they called it. But this was Alaska. Storms here had teeth. This one promised gale force winds, blinding rain mixed with sleet. Visibility would drop to near zero. The kind of weather that grounds planes. That keeps boats in harbor. That makes even the hardiest Alaskan pause. Yet life in the remote corners of this state often defied such warnings. Necessity, a cruel master, often pushed people into the teeth of the gale. Dark clouds, the color of slate, massed over the Kenai Mountains. They advanced like an invading army. Relentless. Nanwallik, a small Sugpiaq village. It clung to the edge of the Kenai Peninsula, accessible only by air or sea. Mostly air. The village was a cluster of modest homes, a school, a church, a small clinic. Life here was tied to the tides and to the sky. The rhythm of existence dictated by the harsh, beautiful land. Its isolation was both a blessing and a curse. It preserved a way of life, but it also made every journey a challenge, every emergency a potential crisis. The Nanwallik airport was not grand, a short gravel strip, carved out of the wilderness. It sat perilously close to the bay, often battered by winds, shrouded in fog. Yet, this humble airstrip was the village's artery, its lifeline to the outside world. Groceries arrived by plane, mail, medical supplies. People flew out for doctor's appointments, for supplies unavailable locally, for connection. Without it, Nanwallik would be utterly cut off. Stranded. Flying in and out of Nanwallik was always a test. Pilots needed skill. Daniel Bunker knew these skies. He was 48, a veteran pilot. He had flown in Alaska for over 2 decades. He understood the capricious nature of its weather, the raw beauty, the hidden dangers. Known for his calm demeanor, his meticulous approach. He flew to provide for his family, but he also flew because he loved it. The freedom, the challenge, the vast, untamed wilderness below. His aircraft that day was a Cessna T-207, a single-engine workhorse. Bunker had done his pre-flight checks thoroughly. As always, he noted the weather reports, the building storm, the need to connect these isolated communities, the responsibility of an Alaskan bush pilot. The Cessna lifted off. It climbed into the turbulent air. The initial moments of the flight were likely tense. Bunker would have been fighting the controls. The wind buffeting the small aircraft. Rain, mixed with sleet, would have lashed the windscreen. Visibility, already poor, would have been deteriorating rapidly. He was flying into the teeth of the storm, a storm that was growing angrier by the minute. His destination, Nanwallik, was not far, but in this weather, distance was deceptive. Inside the cabin, passengers would have felt the plane lurch, the violent jolts, the roar of the wind, the drumming of rain against the fuselage. Fear would have been a cold companion. Some might have prayed. Others might have stared out at the gray chaos, trusting the pilot, hoping for a safe landing. The journey, usually short, would have felt like an eternity. Each gust of wind, each sudden drop, a fresh wave of anxiety, the raw, primal fear of losing control. Bunker wrestled with the elements. He was an experienced pilot, but this storm was ferocious. He would have been focused intently, trying to maintain altitude, trying to stay on course. The unblinking eye. Raw footage and the wreckage. The first indication that something was terribly wrong came not from a distress call, but from silence. The plane was overdue. Nanwallik waited. Anxious calls were made. The grim realization slowly dawned. Then, the footage emerged. A security camera, mounted on a building near the Nanwallik airstrip, pointed towards the approach path. It had captured the final, horrifying moments. The unblinking eye of technology. A silent, terrible witness. The footage was grainy, shaken by the wind, but it was clear enough. It showed the Cessna, a small speck against the furious gray sky, battling the elements. A community's grief, Nanwallik's heavy heart. The news hit Nanwallik like a physical blow. Disbelief, then a crushing wave of sorrow. The small village was intimately connected. Everyone knew everyone. The victims were not strangers, they were neighbors, friends, family. The pilot, Daniel Bunker, was a familiar face, a lifeline. The passengers, residents of Nanwallik or nearby communities. Their absence left gaping holes in the fabric of village life. A profound, collective grief settled over the community. Homes fell silent. The school closed. The usual sounds of village life were replaced by hushed whispers and quiet sobs. People gathered in homes, at the church, seeking comfort in each other's presence, sharing stories of those they had lost, remembering their smiles, their laughter, their contributions to the community. The weight of the tragedy was immense, almost unbearable. For a village so small, the loss of even one life was a tragedy. This was a catastrophe. The emotional toll was etched on every face. The elders who had seen so much. The Alaskan sky a history, etched in danger. Alaska's aviation history is a saga of heroism and of heartbreak. For decades, pilots have been the lifeblood of this vast state, connecting remote settlements, delivering essential goods, performing daring rescues. They are legends, bush pilots, navigating by instinct and experience, through some of the world's most challenging terrain and most unpredictable weather. The Alaskan sky is their domain, but it is an unforgiving one, demanding respect, and often exacting a heavy price. The state has long grappled with a high rate of aviation accidents. Small planes, often operating in marginal conditions. The statistics tell a grim story. More aviation fatalities per capita than any other state. The reasons are complex. The sheer scale of Alaska, the lack of ground infrastructure, the reliance on air travel, the rapidly changing weather patterns, mountains that appear suddenly out of the clouds, waterways that offer few emergency landing options. It is a high-stakes environment. Numerous incidents dot Alaska's aviation timeline. Each one a tragedy, each one a lesson, sometimes learned. Echoes of peril. The Ted Stevens near miss. The Nanwallik tragedy did not occur in a vacuum. Concerns about aviation safety in Alaska were already heightened. Just weeks before, a chilling near miss had occurred. At Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport, the state's busiest hub, two large commercial jets had come dangerously close. On the runway, a potential catastrophe averted by mere seconds, by the quick reaction of an alert pilot. The incident sent shivers down the spines of air traffic controllers and aviation experts. That near miss involved different circumstances: a bustling international airport, large passenger jets, complex ground control procedures, not a small Cessna battling a storm in a remote village. Yet it contributed to a growing sense of unease, a feeling that perhaps the systems in place were strained, that the margin for error, even in more controlled environments, was shrinking. It raised questions about staffing levels, about communication protocols, about the overall health of the aviation infrastructure. The Ted Stevens incident, though without casualties, served as a wake-up call, searching for answers, investigations, and the path to safer skies. In the aftermath of the Nanwallik crash, the investigations began immediately. The National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, dispatched a team. Their task was daunting: to sift through the wreckage, to analyze the recovered footage, to interview witnesses, to determine the cause. Was it the overwhelming weather? A mechanical failure? A human element? The community of Nanwallik, and indeed all of Alaska, waited. They needed to understand what happened, not for blame, but for closure and for prevention, with the assurance that lessons would be learned, that steps would be taken to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. The stakes were too high for anything less. The unique challenges of Alaskan aviation demand unique solutions. Technology could play a role: better real-time weather data, more robust aircraft tracking systems. But technology alone is not enough. Human judgment and a culture of safety. The aftermath and community response. In the wake of the tragedy, the community of Nanwallik came together in an unprecedented show of solidarity. Families who had lost loved ones found support in their neighbors. The local church organized memorial services, offering a space for collective mourning. Pause 2s. The tragedy also sparked a broader conversation about aviation safety in Alaska. Community leaders and aviation experts held town hall meetings, discussing ways to improve safety protocols. Local schools incorporated aviation safety lessons into their curriculum, ensuring that the next generation would be better prepared. Pause 2s. The NTSB's findings led to concrete changes. New regulations were implemented, focusing on enhanced weather monitoring and better pilot training. Pause 1s. But perhaps the most lasting impact was the renewed sense of community. People realized that they were not alone, that they could lean on each other in times of crisis. Pause 2s. Nanwallik, like many Alaskan towns, had always been resilient. This tragedy tested that resilience, but ultimately strengthened it. The town emerged stronger, more united, and more aware of the challenges and responsibilities that come with living in such a remote and beautiful part of the world. Pause 3s. The legacy of the Nanwallik crash is not just one of loss and sorrow, but also of growth, unity, and hope for a safer future, policy changes, and safety measures. In the wake of the Nanwallik tragedy, significant policy changes were swiftly enacted. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, collaborated closely to overhaul existing regulations. Systems, ensuring real-time data was accessible to pilots in even the most remote regions of Alaska. New technology was introduced, including advanced radar systems and satellite tracking, which provided pilots with more accurate and timely information. In addition to technological upgrades, pilot training programs underwent a transformation. Emphasis was placed on decision-making in adverse weather conditions, and mandatory recurrent training was implemented for all Alaskan pilots. Pause 2s. These measures were designed to minimize the risk of similar tragedies in the future, prioritizing the safety of both passengers and crew. Pause 2s. The aviation community in Alaska, known for its resilience and adaptability, embraced these changes. Pilots, airlines, and regulators worked together, sharing knowledge and experiences to create a safer environment. While the scars of the past remain, these efforts signify a commitment to learning from tragedy and building a more secure future for Alaskan aviation. Pause 3s. The legacy of the Nanwallik crash continues to inspire progress, ensuring that the skies over Alaska are not only a passageway of beauty, but also of safety and reliability. Looking forward, the future of aviation safety. As we move beyond the immediate aftermath of the Nanwallik tragedy, the focus shifts to the future. Innovations in aviation technology continue to evolve at a rapid pace, promising a new era of safety and efficiency. One of the most groundbreaking advancements is the integration of artificial intelligence in flight operations. AI-powered systems are being developed to assist pilots in real time, offering predictive analytics and decision support during critical moments. These systems can analyze vast amounts of data, providing insights that were previously unimaginable. Another exciting development is the rise of unmanned aerial vehicles, or drones. These versatile machines are being used for everything from search and rescue missions to delivering supplies to remote areas. The potential for drones to enhance safety in aviation is immense, offering new ways to monitor weather conditions and inspect aircraft. Furthermore, the aviation industry is making strides in sustainability. Electric and hybrid aircraft are on the horizon, promising to reduce the environmental impact of air travel. They reflect a broader commitment to responsible and forward-thinking aviation practices. The lessons learned from the past, combined with the promise of future advancements, offer a vision of an aviation landscape that is safer, more efficient, and more sustainable. As we look to the skies, we can be hopeful that the future of aviation will be brighter and safer for everyone. The journey of progress continues, driven by a shared commitment to excellence and safety in the skies.